Sing, O muse of shadow and flame, of Alcyon, son of King Dorion of Ephyra, whose heart was bound to glory, whose soul was tested in the depths where even gods dare not tread. Tell how the light of a prince descended into darkness, and how the song of his name was swallowed by shadow, that mortals might remember the price of pride and the weight of fate. In the age when temples yet glistened beneath Helios' chariot, and the sea gods whispered along the foam, there stood the city of Ephyra, girded by white walls and olive groves. Its people were brave, its warriors proud, and its king, Dorion, was said to have sprung from the blood of Perseus himself. Yet the gods, ever jealous of mortal splendor, had laid a curse upon that fair land. For in the time of Dorion's father, the priests of Nyx, the goddess of night, had been cast from the city, their dark rites forbidden, their idols broken. From the shattered altar of Nyx, it was said, arose a shadow without form, a wraith born of darkness itself, neither man nor beast, but the shape of fear. It crept into the labyrinth of Ephyra, an ancient maze once built to guard treasures of the kings, and there it dwelt, unseen but felt, whispering through the stones, sapping the courage of men and bringing plague upon the flocks. So in Dorion's reign, the oracle of Delphi spake, Not till the blood of the king's own line descends to the heart of darkness shall the curse be ended, nor shall dawn shine upon Ephyra's towers till shadow and light be one. These words, born on the breath of the Pythia, struck Dorion with dread, for he had but one son, Alcyon, fair of face and strong of limb, whose eyes shone like polished bronze beneath the sun. Though young, he was fearless, and his spirit yearned for deeds of renown that would outlive the dust of his bones. One night, when the moon rode pale above the Acropolis, Alcyon came before his father's throne. The torches burned low, casting long, trembling shadows on the marble floor. "Father," said he, "the plague grows, and our herds fall silent in the fields. The river reeks of death, and the children dream of shapes that move without sound. I have heard the oracle's words. Let me go down into the labyrinth and end this curse. The gods demand courage, and I am my father's son." But Dorion's face was grave, and he spoke with the weariness of one who had seen the favor of Olympus turn cold. "Thou art all I have, my son. Wouldst thou cast thy life into the maw of night? None who entered that maze hath returned, not even the generals of my youth, nor the priests who sought to cleanse it with fire. It is not a creature of flesh that dwells there, but a shadow-born, a horror that drinks the light of men's hearts." Then Alcyon answered, "If it drinks light, let it taste mine, for I will bear my flame into its darkness." At these words, silence fell upon the hall. The king turned away, his heart torn between love and prophecy. At length he spake, "So be it. The will of Zeus is greater than mine. But take this, the Aegean torch, lit from the altar of Helios. Its flame burns pure and shall not fade while courage remains within thee. Lose heart, and its light will perish." Thus did Alcyon bow before his father, kissed the earth, and took the torch. And in the days that followed he made ready, girded himself with bronze, prayed to Athena for wisdom, and to Ares for strength. But none were nearer to his heart than Irene, the daughter of the high priest, whose eyes mirrored the calm of still waters. Long had they loved in secret, for her vows bound her to the gods, not to men. Yet on the eve of his descent, she came to him in the temple garden, veiled and trembling. "Beloved," she whispered, "the path thou seekest is not of this world. The shadow below hungers for more than flesh. It feeds on memory and hope. Take this thread, woven from my veil. Tie it at the gate, and though darkness devour thee, this shall lead thee home again." Alcyon took the thread, and their hands met. Mortal love in the hush before doom. "If I return," said he, "I will break thy vows myself before the gods." And she answered, "Then may they forgive us both." At dawn he came to the mouth of the labyrinth. It yawned beneath the hill like the throat of some sleeping titan, a gate of stone carved with faces of kings long dead. The air that issued forth was cold as the grave. Behind him, the priests murmured prayers, and his father raised a trembling hand. "Go, my son," said Dorion. "May the flame of Helios guide thee." And Altheon, turning once to the light of day, descended. The first halls were vast and silent, strewn with the bones of men and beasts. Columns rose like trees turned to stone, their tops lost in gloom. The torch in Altheon's hand burned steady, casting a golden circle about him, and within that circle he felt courage. But beyond it, the shadows quivered as though alive. He marked the wall with Irene's thread and pressed on. The passages wound like a serpent, now narrowing till he must crouch, now widening into chambers echoing with unseen sighs. He found relics of the fallen, a rusted helm, a shattered sword, the husk of a shield blackened by age. All told the same tale, bravery undone by terror. As he passed deeper, a whisper stirred, not of air, but of thought. It was soft, like the sigh of reeds beside a river, yet it seemed to speak his name. "Altheon, child of light." He halted and the torch wavered. "Who calls?" he cried. His voice rang hollow through the stone. Then silence, save for the drip of unseen water. He strode on. Hours turned to shadows of hours. Hunger gnawed, thirst burned his throat. Yet the flame endured, and the thread gleamed faintly behind him, like moonlight caught in web. At last he came upon a vast chamber where the air grew heavy and the torchlight dimmed. The walls were black as pitch, and upon the floor lay a pool that reflected no light. From its depths arose a shape, first mist, then form, the shadow-born. No mortal tongue could tell its likeness, for it was change itself. One moment a man, the next a beast, then a winged horror, then naught but smoke with burning eyes. Its voice was not sound but thought, seeping into Altheon's mind like poison. "Thou bringest light into my realm, mortal flame-bearer. Hast thou come to perish, or to learn what darkness truly is?" Altheon raised the torch. "I am Altheon, son of Dorion, heir of Ephira. I have come to end the curse that blights my land, return to the void that spawned thee, and trouble men no more." Then came a laugh, deep, endless, echoing from wall to wall. "End me. I am the echo of thy kind's own heart. I am born from fear and pride, from the silence between prayers. The gods cast me forth when light first rose, and men fed me with their doubt. Slay me, prince, and I shall rise again in another shadow." "Then so be it," said Altheon, "but thou shalt not devour mine." With that he charged, and the chamber flared with golden fire. The shadow recoiled, shrieking as flame bit its misty limbs, yet its form split and reformed, circling him like smoke. It struck, cold talons of night tearing his shield to shreds. Altheon stumbled, but the torch blazed brighter, as though fed by his will. Again he struck, and the fire touched the creature's heart, if heart it had, and there came a cry that shook the stone. But from the wound poured not blood, but memory. Visions of men's sins, of wars, betrayals, broken oaths. The darkness became a mirror, showing Altheon the face of every fear he had known. The loss of Irene, his father's grief, his own death in vain. His knees bent, the flame faltered. The voice whispered again, "See, Prince of Ephira, thou art not free of me. I dwell within all who dream." And the torch guttered. Then, in that moment when the light failed, and all the world was naught but shadow and breath, Altheon felt the weight of despair like chains upon his soul. The darkness pressed close, whispering his name as a lover might, soft and cruel. "Lay down thy torch," it murmured. "Rest, child of dust. All who strive are mine at last." But within him stirred the faintest ember of his father's voice, as from far across the sea of memory. The flame endures while courage remains. Alcyon fell upon his knees and pressed the dying torch to his heart. He closed his eyes and whispered a prayer, not to Zeus nor to Athena, but to the sun itself. O Helios, golden lord of the morning, if ever I have stood in thy light unashamed, lend me now the spark of dawn, that I may see thy face once more. And lo, from his breast there came a glow, faint as the first blush of day upon the eastern hills. It flowed into the torch, and the flame awoke anew, brighter than before, fierce and pure, burning the mist that had sought to smother him. The shadow shrieked, recoiling. The chamber trembled as if the heart of the earth had been pierced. From the walls poured darkness like black rain, and from it rose 1,000 voices, the cries of the dead who had perished within the maze. "Fool!" thundered the shadow. "Thinkest thou to end what the gods themselves could not? I am the night between the stars. I am the silence before creation. I am the first fear." And Alcyon, rising, answered with a voice that rang as bronze upon bronze. "Then learn, darkness, what it is to fear the heart of man." He flung the torch, and it flew as a spear of flame into the breast of the wraith. The fire took root, spreading through the blackness like veins of molten gold. The walls groaned, the ceiling split, and the floor heaved beneath him. The creature writhed, its form dissolving into wind and ash. But from its dying cry a curse escaped, cold as the breath of the tomb. "Thou hast slain me, son of Dorion, but light and shadow cannot part without blood. Know this, thy victory shall be thy doom. The flame that saves thy city shall consume thee." Then it was gone, scattered into nothing, and silence fell, deep, vast, and eternal. Alcyon stood alone in the ruin of the chamber. His torch still burned, but dimly now, as though mourning. Around him, the stones of the labyrinth cracked and shifted. The pool at the center, once dark as night, now gleamed with pale light. The curse undone. He turned toward the passage, seeking the thread of Irene, but where it had once glowed faintly upon the walls, he saw now only stone. The quake had severed it. The way was lost. Wearily, he set forth, following what path he might, the torch guiding him like a star fallen to earth. The halls twisted endlessly. His strength waned, hunger gnawed. Yet he pressed on, for beyond the stone he imagined the light of day and the voice of the woman he loved. Days, or what seemed days, passed. At last he came upon a wall of smooth marble where none should be, and upon it were carved the faces of the kings of Ephyra. The eyes of Dorion's likeness seemed almost to weep. "Father," Alcyon whispered, "I have done thy will. I have freed our land. Grant me the path home." And even as he spake, a crack opened at his feet, narrow and deep, through which the faintest breath of wind arose, cool, scented with olive and rain. He followed it, crawling through darkness until the stone gave way, and he beheld the dawn. He emerged upon the hillside above Ephyra, pale and broken, his hair matted with dust, his torch burnt low. But when he looked upon the city, he saw smoke rising not from plague or pyre, but from the altars of thanksgiving. Bells rang, voices lifted in praise. The curse had ended. He stumbled down the slope, and the people, seeing him, cried out in wonder. "Behold, the prince, the slayer of the shadow, Ephyra is saved." But Alcyon's gaze sought only one face, Irene's. She stood upon the temple steps, her veil cast aside, her eyes wide with joy and terror. She ran to him, and he fell into her arms, weary unto death. "Thou hast returned," she whispered. "The gods are merciful." "Nay," said he, faintly smiling, "they are merely patient." And he showed her the torch. Its flame burned still, but within it danced shadows, dark and trembling. That night there was feasting in the halls of Dorion. The king wept to see his son again, and all the people rejoiced. But even as the wine flowed and the lyres sang, Alcyon sat apart, his eyes upon the torch that stood before him on the table. It burned without fuel, without sound, and within its heart he thought he saw a face, pale and watching. When the revels ended, he rose and went to the temple of Helios, where Irene awaited. The moon was high, silvering the marble. "Beloved," she said, "the gods have spared thee. Let us leave this place ere fate finds new chains." But Alcyon shook his head. "The shadow's curse is not yet spent. It lies within me, and within this flame. If I carry it beyond these walls, it shall spread anew." "Then quench it," she cried. "Cast it into the sea, and be free." He looked upon her long, then took her hands. "Would that I could, but the flame is bound to the light of my soul. To quench it is to quench myself." She fell silent, and tears glistened upon her cheeks. "Then I will go with thee," she said. He smiled, the sad smile of one who has seen his own end and welcomes it. "Nay, Irene, the gods have had enough of our defiance." At dawn, he stood before the people of Ephyra, the torch in his hand. His father looked upon him in pride and dread. "What wilt thou do, my son?" Alcyon raised the torch high, and its light shone upon all, upon the weary, the sick, the young, the old. "This flame is the heart of Ephyra," he said. "So long as it burns, our city shall know no darkness, but its keeper must walk no more among men." Before any could stop him, he turned and strode toward the cliffs above the sea. Irene ran after him, crying his name, but he did not turn. At the edge he paused and lifted the torch once more to the sky. "O Helios, whose fire gave me life, receive me now. Let my light be thine, and guard my people henceforth." Then, as the sun rose over the waters, Alcyon leapt. A cry went up from the cliffs, and Irene fell to her knees. The torch blazed as it fell, brighter than any dawn, and when it struck the waves, it did not die, but spread, a path of golden fire across the sea. And from that day forth, whenever dawn broke over Ephyra, the waters shone with light, and men said it was the soul of Alcyon greeting the sun. Irene returned to the temple and spoke no more to man. Some say she wove the story of Alcyon into the stars, that sailors might see and remember. Others say she walked into the sea to follow him. None can tell, for such things belong to the realm where gods and shades entwine. As for Dorion, he ruled long and wisely, but his eyes were ever turned toward the horizon at dawn. And when he died, they placed beside him the remnants of the Aegean torch, now but ash and crystal, and inscribed upon his tomb, "Here lies Dorion, whose son became the morning." And so ends the tale of Alcyon, Prince of Ephyra, the Flame-bearer, the Shadow-slayer, the lost child of the sun. Let every mortal who seeks glory remember his fate, that light too may burn, that courage and sorrow are twin stars in the same heaven, and that even the brightest heart must one day descend, that others may rise. For thus speak the Muses, and thus is written in the silence of the gods.